I thought my Achilles pain would end my running and boxing for good. Every step I took felt like a stabbing pain, but I found the solution. And in this video, I'll walk you through how to fix your Achilles pain using the P.R.O.P method. All right, picture this, running 3 times a week, lifting weights, no issues. Hitting the boxing ring, bouncing around like it's nothing, just completely in my zone, feeling unstoppable. But then things started to change. At first, it was just the first 400 meters of my run. I'd be limping, but then it would loosen up and I'd be able to push through. But it didn't stop there. Stiffness turned into real pain. My Achilles felt tight all of the time, even outside of running. I'd be limping down the stairs, feeling like somebody triple my age. It was frustrating, embarrassing even, especially when you're in your 20s, you're thinking to yourself, this shouldn't be happening. I tried ignoring it, but there was a moment that I'll never forget. I was with my physio and he was working through my Achilles like he'd done hundreds of times before. But this time the pain was pretty special. For the first time in years, I almost had to ask him to stop. He felt it too. The Achilles was inflamed, lumps were forming, which are all classic signs of tendonitis. He didn't say that I had to stop running, but I saw it on his face. If I didn't sort this out now, I'd be forced to stop. And for me, that wasn't an option. That was it for me. I knew that I had to fix this. I've never had an injury keep me out of a sport before. Not in running, not in boxing, not even when I was a sprinter. And I wasn't about to let this be the thing that stopped me. So I jumped into action. Iced it every morning and night, physio sessions every week, and it did take the edge off my pain. But the second that I go out for a run, right back to square one. I was so frustrated. It felt like every time that I ran, I was pushing myself closer to a more serious injury, the kind that takes you out for months. And I was trying to work around it, trying to keep going, but it just wasn't enough. I went back to the basics, did for myself what we do with clients, screening for weaknesses, analysing every movement, breaking it down to see what was really going on. Years of coaching, research, hundreds of books on injuries, I threw everything that I had at this. But honestly, the hardest part was patience. I'm used to moving fast, pushing through. I wanted to be running and boxing like I used to, but it felt like I was a Ferrari engine stuck in an old beat up car. I do recognise that I'm very impatient, and once you know that about yourself, it is so much easier to deal with. I'd talk myself down, remind myself to trust the process. I'd take some deep breaths, focusing on each step instead of obsessing over the end goal. So if you are similar to me, you should definitely be giving that a go. For a while, it felt like the pain was never going to go away, but I tried everything. Bought new cushioned running shoes, dropped one of my long, slow runs each week, even invested in a Rogue assault bike, which wasn't cheap by the way. And for the first time on that thing, absolutely brutal. My quads were absolutely fried. It felt like I'd done 10 leg days in a row. I remember doing my first session and literally straight away I went and took a nap. I was cycling on the assault bike for 50 minutes straight, and for any of you that have ever used an assault bike, you know how brutal they are. There were days when I'd wake up, limp down the stairs and think, is this even worth it? And I began to wonder if this was just how it was going to be from now on. And there was this internal battle going on, knowing that I could solve this faster if I took time off, but also knowing that I needed exercise to keep myself sane. I'm sure many of you that have been in a similar situation before or are there right now will know exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, it was a struggle, but I kept going, kept testing, kept trying, and eventually I found what would actually fix this. And I want to share this with you guys because it is so simple and so powerful. First, I switched to some cushioned running shoes. Simple change, huge difference. Then I cut down one of my weekly runs and replaced it with a session on the assault bike. Cross training became my savior. If you haven't heard of cross training, it's basically a way of continuing to exercise in a way that's different from your main sport. This kept my fitness up without pounding my Achilles, lower impact, but still really intense. This way, I was staying fit without setting myself back every time that I train. So if this is you right now, have you ever thought about an assault bike? What about swimming, cycling? These are all ways that you could keep your fitness up without smashing your Achilles. But the real breakthrough for me is something that we've created, which is called the P.R.O.P method. It's the 4 steps that help me to take control of my recovery, and I know it is going to do the same for you, so here it is. First is what we call pinpoint. You have to pinpoint the exact issue. Achilles pain can show up in different ways. You've got insertional pain, which is right at the point where your Achilles attaches to your heel bone. Then there is mid-tendon pain, which is about 2 to 6 centimeters above your heel, and that's more common in runners. And lastly, there's swelling and there's also stiffness, which is often a sign of tendinopathy. That's the category that mine fell into. Understanding where your pain is helps you to pinpoint what kind of Achilles issue that you're dealing with, and then you can also do a few simple tests like the calf squeeze test. This can confirm if your tendon is still intact. The calf squeeze test is simple. Lie on your stomach with your feet hanging off the edge of a bench or a bed. Get a friend to gently squeeze your calf. If your foot moves as they squeeze it, it means that your Achilles is still intact, and that is a good thing. But if your foot doesn't move, that is a sign that you need to get it checked by a professional because you may need surgery. You can also do the 5-inch wall test, which is another great way to assess assess your ankle mobility, stand facing a wall with your big toe about 5 inches away from it. You can use your hand and a thumb like this, which is roughly around 5 inches. Bend your knee towards the wall, keeping your heel down. If you can't touch the wall without your heel lifting, it means that your ankle mobility is limited, which can contribute to your Achilles pain right now. The next step is what we call release. You have to loosen up any tight muscles around your Achilles. Daily foam rolling for your calves, just 1 to 2 minutes a day, makes all of the difference. And banded ankle mobilizations, this is a solid way to loosen up your ankle joint. Wrap a resistant band around something sturdy, place it across the top of your foot, and then elevate your foot with a weight or a step. Gently rock forward and back for 15 reps, holding for a few seconds at the end range to really work on that ankle mobility. Each exercise is about getting the movement back into your ankle. It's boring, but trust me, it works. The third part is where you start to optimize for strength. What you should do here is the standing single leg heel raise with weight. Do 15 reps, holding at the top for 5 seconds to build strength and also endurance in your calves and your Achilles tendons. And also the seated heel raise, which is often the forgotten calf muscle, all to make your Achilles more resilient. And again, do 15 reps, holding at the top for 5 seconds. And finally, you have power. Achilles pain isn't just about getting pain-free, it's about getting strong enough to handle the forces of running, and in my case, boxing. What you should do here is depth drops. For depth drops, start with a low platform, a few inches high is fine, step off with one leg, stick the landing with both feet, and focus on controlling the impact. Aim for 3 sets of 10 repetitions. As you get stronger, you can increase the height gradually, but take it slow. You don't want to do too much too soon here. This return to power is where you build strength that is specific to the demands of running. Each of these steps made a huge difference for me. Releasing the tension eased my pain, giving me the freedom to move. Building strength and power gave me confidence. I wasn't just managing the pain anymore, I was coming back stronger. Getting back to running without pain, it felt amazing. Honestly, it felt like freedom. It felt like a dog being let off a leash and sprinting around a park. There's a sense of gratitude that comes with all of this as well. You really start to appreciate the little things that you couldn't do when you were in pain. Here's what I learned. First, don't neglect your mobility and strength work. We think that we're invincible, especially when we're young, but it catches up with you. Years of ignoring this stuff will come back to bite you on the ass or the Achilles. If you are a runner dealing with Achilles pain, I know how frustrating it is, but do not give up. Do the mobility, do the strength work, even if it's just 5 minutes a day. Use the P.R.O.P method, it works, but only if you're consistent. It won't feel like progress every day. Some days will feel slow, but trust me, stick with it, things do get better. Now, these steps are part of every single session that I do, whether it's running, boxing, or my strength training sessions, and I suggest the same for you too. Prevention is always better than cure, and these exercises will keep you moving and keep you in the game. Overcoming this pain has changed me. I used to think that strength was all about pushing harder, but I've learned that the real strength is about adapting. It's about knowing when to hold back, when to push forward, and listening to your body along the way. Resilience isn't about pushing through and ignoring the pain. It's about making your body more resilient, doing the work that most people are not willing to do. It's about preparing yourself to handle more for a longer period of time. Patience is key. Your body will give you warning signs long before this thing becomes an issue. So you have to be proactive. Address the small problems before they become bigger ones. You're not just training for today, you are training for the long term. You want to be able to do what you love for as long a time as possible. With the P.R.O.P method, you will be able to tackle whatever comes next. But if your goal is to become a faster runner, you're going to want to watch the video that's appearing here now, because this is how you can become faster than 90% of all runners.